Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
How wonderful. How good to be here together. And folks at home, I saw a little note. I hope you can hear me. I'll come a little closer so you can hear me better. Uncle Billy's waving his head up and down, so that's good. And here we are. A note for those in person that masks are optional for those who are fully vaccinated. And let's wave at each other for those at home in Zoom and in the room.
You can see the tops of our heads.
Yeah, well, that's enough for you.
Careful.
And here we are for this special Shabbat, Parshat Noach, the story of Noah and the Ark. And also we have a couple of special readings from Bobby Roode, who hand-selected some very special readings for us to contemplate. And also we take time during this service to welcome the Danziger family, and as we are remembering Glenn Danziger, may his memory be a blessing. And we'll hear, for those who didn't know him, we'll hear more later in the service when we conclude. And the family has sponsored the oneg for tonight, so I hope folks will stay. And so I'm going to invite up Bobby to read first reading and then to light candles.
Thank you. It's nice to see everyone here and at home. Below, this is a prayer that I found in the Siddur Lev Shalom, which I have at home for the Shabbat and festivals. And I was looking for something else, but I found this, and it spoke to me. And it's fitting when we think of Noah. This is by Samuel Dresner. What begins with a person's request ends with God's presence. What starts in the narrowness of the ego emerges into the wide expanse of humanity. What originates in the concern for the self becomes a concern for others and concern for God's concern. What commences in petition concludes as a prayer.
So we'll rise, and for those at home who have candles to light, you can get them ready as we light candles. You gotta press them. There we go. Yeah. I'll leave this there. We bring the light in. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Turn to each other. Those at home, you can unmute.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Allison. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Guys, come say Shabbat Shalom.
Those guys are at home.
No.
Shabbat shalom. Last
You
Shabbat.
have to go after to turn it off.
I know.
Got muted.
What do we do?
Leave the light.
You guys on Zoom are so quiet. You gotta talk.
He's muted. You're muted.
All right. We're gonna turn to page 16. Page 16, please. Shalom Aleichem. We welcome the angels. Page 16. See that? I appreciate that. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashem, Malachei Elyon, Yimelech Malchei Amlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Yimelech Malchei Amlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu li leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Yimelech Malchei Amlachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeichen leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Yimelech Malchei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Turn to page 24. Shilu Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shilu Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shilu Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Pasru miyom liyom Yeshuato, Sapru bagoyim Let's turn to page 38. Before we welcome the Shabbat bride with Lecha Dodi, let's take a moment and reflect on the week that has been. Think back on your travels here and there, within and without. Any tsuris, any stress, anything you're holding on to, just to relax your shoulders. Let it go. And bring in the light. Bring in the joy, bring in the day of rest. Let's take a deep breath together and exhale. Page 38. Page 40 at the bottom, second to last stanza. Yaminu sol tifrosi meika donai daritzi al yadish beharti benismuta benagila Shalom, Natenet Bala, Gambe Simcha, Uvetzaola, Tochemune, Am Segula, Boi Chalak, Boi Chalak. Shabbat. if you look at the bottom of page 41, we have some special words of welcome and comfort. And this is for those who are rejoining community after losing a loved one. And we have with us Carrie Redlick on Zoom, who's here, who just lost her mother. And so we say these words of comfort to you, Carrie, and to your family as we welcome you back into community after your dear loss. And you can join me in the Hebrew and English. Hamakom yenachem etchem betoch she'ar avelei Zion v'Yerushalayim. May the Holy One who comforts Israel grant you solace in your bereavement. Ken Yeh Ratzon, may it be so. Page 50. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer tonight? Can you hear my voice? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruchu et Adonai, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed, Le'olam Please have a seat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu El Chai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Amari V'Aravi. Page 52. Ahava Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Torah u'mitzvot Hukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu Shomeinu v'kumeinu Nasiach bechukecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, לאורך ימינו. ובהם נגד יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Page 54. So we chant the Shema together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We continue with the rest of the Shema, page 56 through 59. Bottom of 58. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Emet. Page 60. 8 lines from the bottom. Umalchuto beratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe Miriam ubnei Israel chanu shira v'simcha rabba ve'amru chulam mi kamocha elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tehilot osef Malchutcha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe, ze eli anu ve'ameru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, ve'ne'emar, ki fada Adonai et Yaakov, uge'alo miyad chazak mimenu, baruch ata Adonai, gal Yisrael. Let's read together, page 62, your tabernacle of peace. Spread your tabernacle of peace, O Lord, over us and our people, we pray. Bless all who tonight are in our prayers and all who should be in our thoughts. To the sick and the suffering, send your hope. To the forgotten and the lonely, send your love. To the confused and the distressed, send your light. To the weary and the wronged, send renewed strength. To the pursuers of justice, send wisdom and faith. To the seekers of peace, send unwavering resolve. To Jerusalem and its people, send tranquility and joy. To the world tonight, send the blessings of peace. Amen. Page 64. Sheshet Yamim Asa Adonai, Asa Adonai, Et Hashamorim Ve'et Haaretz V'Shamru Bnei Yisrael Et HaShabbat La'asot Et HaShabbat V'Dorotav V'Torah Ubayom Hashvi Shabbat vayinafas, Shabbat vayinafas, Shabbat vayinafas. Shabru b'nei Yisrael, et Shabbat, Asot et Shabbat, let's hear some clapping. Shabru b'nei Yisrael, et Shabbat, Asot et Shabbat, Steve Sherman, I didn't hear you clapping. We have to do it again. That is the simcha, the joy.
Yeah.
So I have the delight again of calling up Bobby she will launch us into the Amidah, our meditative prayer with another reading.
Okay, this one, I now know why I picked both of these, so they go together. This is by Mordecai Kaplan, who helped found the Reconstructionist movement. This faith in oneself is not merely in one's ability to do things. The latter is necessary as a part of mental health and is as important as bodily health. The faith in oneself, which is not only a prerequisite of faith in God, but is, in a sense, faith in God, implies being able to identify in oneself a principle of life which is not a derivative from one's natural capacities, but which belongs to a different order of existence. In the yearning for salvation, for life's worthwhileness, for truth, goodness, and beauty, for their own sake, for freedom, justice, and peace in society, a human being experiences something superhuman or supernatural. One who experiences that yearning in oneself cannot be so vain or unreasonable as to believe that he or she is alone in the possession of such yearning. The most difficult step in achieving faith in God is thus first achieving faith in oneself. And it is puzzling, but I wrote down a few thoughts that I think what spoke to me in this passage and in the first passage I read, having to do with broadening the narrowness of the ego. And on a personal level, God to me is a connection to something bigger than I am, so that I can be in awe of everything around me. And it also made me think of the concept of God, in my mind, reminds us to be human in ways that benefit ourselves and others, and part of the broader rule.
With that meditation, we take a few moments in quiet prayer. The words on the page 69 through 76. The words of the heart. As you're able, we rise. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Share a few words about our Torah portion, about Parshat Noach, our story of Noah and the Ark, as it is known. Happy to see the Hendlers here on Zoom. Daniel is ready to help tell the story because everybody loves the story of Noah. It's such a great story. It's a classic. It's such a classic that the story of Noah, really in different ways across many different cultures, this story exists from ancient times to today. Many different cultures have this story of a flood, and in many ways we are living through our own Noah story. So get your ark ready, folks. But today, I want to focus on the opening words of our Torah portion from this book, the Nitivot Shalom, the Slonemer Rebbe, one of my dear rabbis, who I have only known through books, and yet so connected. 20th century ultra-Orthodox rabbi in Jerusalem with a universal message. And so he begins by quoting our Torah portion. Ele toldot Noach. These are the generations of Noah. Noach, ish tzadik tamim haya bidorotav. Noah was a man who was righteous and simple, innocent in his generation. Et ha-Elohim hithalach Noach. With God did Noah walk. So right away, we learn a lot about Noah right from the beginning. And the Slonemer Rebbe takes us in, he goes back 1,000 years, talks to Rashi, the medieval commentator, and Rashi is quoting even earlier, another 1,000 years before, that there's a machloket, there's an argument between the rabbis. Who is this Noah guy? Was he righteous or not? So Rashi tells us that there are rabbis who doresh, who interpret this line with praise. They praise Noah, saying, She'ilu haya bedor tzadikim haya tzadik yoter. If Noah was in a generation of righteous, because we know that he was in a terrible generation, a corrupt generation, and the waters were a-coming to destroy this whole generation. So they say that if he was part of a righteous generation, he would have been even more righteous. But there are those who don't praise him, but in fact shame him and say that ilu haya bidoro shel Abraham lo nechshav leklum. If he was part of the generation of Abraham, he would have been a nothing. He would have been a nothing, hardly, not even a righteous person. Where do we come up with this? Now, you think about the lines that we just read, okay? And the Slonemer Rebbe asks all kinds of questions. Where do we get this whole argument that goes thousands of years? Was he righteous or not? So we learned about Noah. What did we learn about him? Remember? He was tzaddik v'tamim. He was a righteous and simple. Okay, what does that mean? He was simple. Does that mean he was just a simpleton? Maybe, okay. But not only was he just simple, he was simple bidorotav. In his, we know the words, lidor vador, right? In his generation. He was simple and righteous in his generation. So think about that, because if he lives in this corrupt generation, right? And he was righteous. So you think about it, does that mean that, well, he was so exemplary in this corrupt, it takes a real tzaddik, it takes a real righteous person to live in such a corrupt society and to be a righteous person. I mean, if there's garbage around you, you're going to start to smell like garbage. So that is one way of understanding it. Or what a neshama, what a soul he had, that in such a corrupt generation, he could gleam, he could shine, right? He could stand above it all and not get trapped by all the trappings of the corrupt society. And then it says that what did Noach do? He walked with God, right? Now, the next Torah portion, and the rabbis like to do this, they like to compare and contrast. We all do. We're human. We compare and contrast. So it says about Abraham that, now let me just find it. It says here in Noach, et ha-Elohim, hithalech Noach. Noah walked et. It's a kind of ambiguous word. Did he walk with God? Did God walk with him? We're not quite sure. But Abraham, it says, Hu omer asher hithalachti lifanav. I will walk before you. So the rabbis understand this, that Abraham walked with God next to him. Okay, proverbially. Or maybe they actually thought literally. We don't know, but I think of it proverbially. God walked Noah walked with God by, Abraham walked with him by his side. With Noah, God actually had to support Noah. He had to support him. He walked with him, not next to him. Abraham could stand on his own 2 feet. Noah, on the other hand, couldn't walk on his own 2 feet. He needed the help. Here's how you're going to build the ark. Here's the instructions. Abraham, it's like, lech lecha, go on out, do your thing. You're going to be a blessing. Noah, all right, I've got a mission for you. You don't know what you're doing. You're not that great, but we'll take you because you're the best of God. So you're going to build an ark and you're going to save this world. And I'm gonna somech you. I'm gonna support you through this whole process. So here we are, several thousand generations since the flood, a couple thousand years since these rabbis argued about this or that, 1,000 years since Rashi redacted it and put it down into words so we could understand, well, was he righteous or wasn't he? And just part of this past generation, the Slonomer Rebbe, who puts it all together on the page. How do we understand our own generation? Do we live in a corrupt generation? Or do we live in a righteous generation? Is another flood coming? Or whatever else it is? Or is God's promise going to come to fruition that the world will never be destroyed again? What kind of generation do we live in? Righteous or shameful? And how do we see ourselves? When you think to the next generation, when you think to those who will look back at our words, how will they look upon us? Were we righteous or were we shameful? What Noach are you? What Noach are we? And guess what? I'm not going to give you the answer. We're going to figure it out together. But take that Noach was called a righteous man, however you understand it. And even in the most corrupt times, there is righteousness. And may we be so blessed to live in a righteous time with many righteous, many Noachs that are building the arks of today to carry us into the future. Shabbat Shalom. Did you get that, Mary Estelle? Yeah. Okay, good. Happy you guys are here with us. In the back of your Sidurim, you'll find a prayer for healing. And as I pause, I'll look around the room and add the names of those in need of healing, whether in body or spirit. And those at home, I invite you to add the names into the chat box. Mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, bless and heal Joyce Green,
Kimberly.
Joseph, and Mark Tenenbaum.
Clément Dupuis, Robert Pizarro.
David ben Chaya Binyamin, Avram ben Mordechai veRachel, El Kasor ben Moshe Chaim Umindele, Yudit bar Ratzi veOvadia, Dina Appel, Devorah Lieberman, Linda Schiller, Barbara Girk, Sarah Howell, Mario Sr., Chaya Gila bat Yonina, Uziel Keshet Yehuda, Chava Mayan, Rav Yitzchak ben Elihu vechaya, Moshe Meir bat Sarah, Gretchen Rouse Besser, Beth's father, along with all the ill among us. Grant insight to those who bring healing, courage, and faith to those who are sick, love and strength to us and to all who love them. Together, God, let your spirit rest upon all who are ill and comfort them. May they and we know a time of complete healing, a healing of the body, a healing of the spirit, speedily and soon. Let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu, Mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We bless all those in need of healing, and we bless you who support them. We turn to the back of our cards, and Susan, would you be willing to read a prayer for Israel? Would you come up here? And you can read the prayer for our countries as well.
Sure. Prayer for Israel. Rock and Redeemer of the people of Israel, bless Israel in its pursuit of a flowering of redemption. Send your light and wisdom to Zion's leaders and advisors, and help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of all who work towards safety, justice, and democracy, crowning their efforts with success. Shield the land with your love and spread over it your shelter of peace. May the time be near when all its inhabitants and neighbors dwell together in security and everlasting peace. And let us say, Amen. Prayer for our countries. Our God and God of all peoples, bless and watch over our countries, the United States of America and Canada. Bless our diverse inhabitants equally in the light of your presence, that we might build together a society based upon principles of tolerance, justice, and compassion. Inspire our leaders with your good counsel, that they may act wisely for the good of all our citizens and all peace-loving people throughout the world. May peace and security prevail within our borders and beyond, and let us say,
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. We also sing a prayer for peace. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Page 118 for Aleinu, as you're able, please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, lateit gidula liotzer breishi, shelo asanu im goyei haratzot, velo samanu im mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu imahem, v'god aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Bottom of 120. V'nema v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Yeh Adonai Echad, Ushemo Echad. Please have a seat. So in a moment, we're going to say the Mourner's Kaddish, which is on page 124. For those at home, if you want to add any names to the chat box of those who you are remembering, please do. This week in the life of our congregation, we remember David Midigai, father of Margaret Glazier, Dory Goodman, mother of David Goodman, Morris Brownell, grandfather of Robert Kaplan, Pauline Smith, mother of Jackie Friedman, Joseph Feinselber, my grandfather, Sandra Sorrell Gamaroff, mother of Shelley Lipman, and we also remember Glenn Danziger, father of Jill and Amy Danziger. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 124. For those in mourning or observing Yortzeit, please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shamei Rabbah be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. May their memories be for a blessing. And have a seat for a moment. I want to invite the folks who are bringing out the food to just pause, and would you bring the folks who are in the kitchen out? We want to take a moment in community to honor and remember Glenn Danziger, who we really weren't able to because of COVID, and he is greatly missed. And so I'm going to share a few words about him, and then I'm going to invite his daughter Amy to reflect on his life and connection to JCOGS. But for those who didn't know him, him and his dear beloved wife Fifi were founding members of JCOGS, and he served his country proudly in the U.S. Navy. He was always proud of his football days, even though he walked later in life a little harder because of those days. But he was dearly proud of that. And he met Fifi, and they got married in 1953. They shared some incredible good times and an incredible love together and for their children. And they also went through some tough times. They had some tough times, and to bring her name and legacy in, to think about their daughter Beth, who was taken too early, and to his dying day, he struggled with that loss of his daughter, as I think any of us would. And he also, when Fifi was injured, he took dear care of her, and he was a man of great love and care. He loved his children. When I got to meet with him, he always spoke about you with tender care, and he spoke of Fifi in the same way. He was also a man of struggles. He used his brain a lot. He would question. He was a skeptic. He was critical. He wanted to know why. Why bad things happen. He struggled with God, and in that way he wrestled with life and with the meaning of life and understanding, and he had abundant questions, and answers were uncertain. But he was quite resolute as well in many other ways. And one of those ways was in his support of JCOGS. And so, when the family said we'd like to honor him on a Friday night, there's absolutely no question. He was incredibly generous. And I have a quote from him when he would when he would send in gifts to JCOGS, he would applaud JCOGS's tzedakah mission of serving needy people and the organizations that serve them, regardless of religion and ethnicity. And so he was a humanist, and while he took care of his Jewish community, and a man of love, a man of care. He's deeply missed here. I'd like to invite Amy. Would you come up and share a few words?
Thank you for those words,
Of course.
especially mentioning my sister is special because it's often like, do you say it? Do you not say it? But, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And thank you for having us here.
Come a little closer so folks at home can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
When my parents first came to Stowe, it was like they found heaven. They found their way to have therapy without going to someone's office and spending $300. They just pulled up to number 28 Stony Brook. And what happened ultimately was through almost like whispers and pokes, finding out that there were other Jews that lived here because nobody knew. And it was an incredible revelation. And so little by little, people started coming out of the woodwork and wanted to celebrate holidays together. And we remember, Howard and I, my husband and I remember going to the basement of people's homes and then the church. And, ultimately, look where you are. I mean, it's incredible. You have a nursery school, you have a religious school, you have a full-time rabbi. I mean, it's someone who makes your own Shabbat by scratch every week. I mean, it's just a nice place. And I read your weekly every Friday, and I'm learning more and more about you and your generosity and your social justice and your interest in making the fairness balance for LGBTQ people. And it's just very impressive. And I'm very proud that they were part of this. And we're my family, Howard, Jessica, and Jeremy, are so fortunate that we have the legacy of the house, because we get to experience Stowe as well. And Jessica was even on the mountain skiing this winter when she ran into somebody on the chairlift. They were splitting them up because of COVID. She ran into someone she didn't know. She was put on the chairlift. They were talking. And all of a sudden, this man said to her, "You're Fifi Danziger's granddaughter." I mean, it's so, it was great. It was absolutely great. So, yes, my dad became difficult. He did have a botched operation on his ankle 65 years after he heard it, at Columbia on the football team. And I'm actually going to segue because I just want to mention Colombia and Steve Lichtenstein. If you're out there, you will appreciate this more than anyone else. Is that Jeremy just graduated from grad school at Columbia, and Jessica is there now. So they both are following his alma mater, and they would be selling. They'd be so proud. Just a few more words about growing up Jewish with my father and my mother. Being Jewish was in his soul. Going to High Holy Days, for instance, with him was such a pleasure, and I felt like I was special. I was the third kid. I was the baby, so I didn't get as much attention. But going to these services, I felt it was he and I. And going home to break fast, all the men would have a jigger of whiskey. And oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He and Steve.
Oh my goodness. So one day I got up the nerve and I said, what about me? They needed too. And so being a female, being young, everything, he gave me one. And from then on, I felt more like a part of it. So, again, I just want to say thank you. I'm proud of what they helped build. I'm proud of what you're all doing. I love seeing the plaque. I guess the last thing I want to say is that there was some trickle down. Jeremy is leaving for Israel next week or the week after on birthright, and Jessica has already gone. And thank you. We're up here as frequently as we can get here. It's a very long drive for us, but we'll be back. So thank you.
That's so beautiful. I think we have to bring the schnapps back. I don't know why we've only been doing it. Yeah.
Have Linda Copper's daughter and we have Fifi Danziger's daughter. And the two
Folks who are at home, story being told. It's Rita and saying how we have Linda Copper and Fifi Danziger's daughter. They got
together.
Just give it a
The
shot.
two of them ran a casino night with some of us. We rented, what was it? What Three Amigos is.
Yep.
And we took over and we ran a very, very, very successful casino night because of these two women who went out and got things for prizes and underwrote the whole thing. It was a very successful and heartwarming place to be that night. All the love they
For
gave.
folks at home, a heartwarming casino night. I don't think I've ever heard of a heartwarming casino night, but only Fifi and Linda could do that, pull that off. What a sentence. I want to bring our attention to a few announcements. One, resources. First, the Morrisville Rotary Coat Drive right now is collecting donations of clean winter coats and snow pants, and you can drop them off this week at the Morrisville Meals on Wheels, 21 Munson Avenue. This was in our weekly email if you want to go back and get the information. please do so. We know it's going to get cold real soon, and it already is a little bit. Tomorrow morning, we celebrate Shabbat with our young families, Kinderlach and Gesher, at 9:30 with special guests and Beth and myself. And we're looking forward to it. Hear that there's a lot of families coming. This coming Wednesday, we have our Olam Chesed program at 4 o'clock for elementary school age. On Thursday, all hands on deck. That's you, Michelle. All hands on deck for a work party. There will be pizza, there will be wine, and there will be schlepping. And we're gonna start setting up our indoor space as we transition out of the tent into warmer quarters. Also on Wednesday, going back a day, Wednesday at 5 o'clock, the Racial Equity Alliance of Lamoille is meeting for its monthly meeting. If you have not been to one of these meetings, they're fascinating discussions on topics of bigotry and racism and how to act in the community. They're really educational and very interesting. Please do. Next Friday, we're here online and in person, 6 o'clock as usual. And a week from Saturday, the 16th, we have another, our second community Shabbat morning service, monthly Shabbat morning service, which is also a B'nai Mitzvah, Ruby and Ben, Fox, Daniel, B'nai Mitzvah. We're starting a new tradition of thanking some of our volunteers. And so I want to give a shout out to some folks this week. Holy Schleppers. I want to give a shout out especially to all the Holy Schleppers, but particularly Steve and Miriam Rosenblum, who schlepped all the chairs that were given, that we borrowed from local churches, and they loaded up their van and they schlepped them on back. And so in gratitude to the churches and to the Rosenblums, Elliot Kluba, if you get bored during services, it's all good. There's a mud kitchen in the playground that you can now play with, thanks to Woodwork and Elliot. And to our newest board members, last month, Susan Bayer Fishman joined us, chair of our building committee, and now, as of last night, Craig Oshkello is sitting on our board. So to all those volunteers, it takes a village. Come on down on Thursday to help us get our indoor space ready after a year and a half. Yes, if you can't lift, there are things to do. Make sure to sanitize your hands before we eat, and after services, the Sidurim need to be brought in, and after the oneg, you're invited to stay for cleanup, and Patty knows how to party in that kitchen. So stay on and party with Patty. So we have just a couple minutes to hear really brief simchas, anything good in your lives that you'd like to share. And I'm gonna, folks at home, you'll be able to unmute yourselves if you want to share anything. Again, keep it to a sentence. If you would. How many footnotes we got, Mish?
438.
438 footnotes in his publication. What else we got? Other simchas?
Somebody, wait.
Yeah, Randy, unmute yourself. We'll just keep it brief, if you would.
Yep.
Wait, sorry, hold on. I gotta turn your volume up. There we go.
Okay, it is Papa's 75th birthday on tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. There's Adar. Happy birthday, Papa. Thank you.
And folks online, you can just unmute yourself. Go ahead, Adar.
It's my second cross-country meet tomorrow.
Second cross-country meet.
Happy birthday, Papa.
Thank you, love you.
Thank you, Adar.
All right. What else? Other simchas?
Just in time.
Yes, please, Aaron.
Amy, I won't say how old she is, but she's very young, just had a birthday about 10 days ago.
Yay.
Yay, happy birthday. Mazel tov.
Actually, September and October are big birthday months in our family.
Nice.
I passed a milestone. My husband is next and my daughter.
Passing milestones is better than kidney stones.
That's right.
Yeah. That's great. Other simchas? Somebody in the kitchen has a birthday on Sunday. Patty Rubin. Patty Rubin. Woo, woo. Yeah. Anyone else at home? All right. Well,
Yona's in the
that's a good one, right? Yeah. Oh, and Mona shared that the foundations of Jewish learning that we did.
I see it was peeing.
Folks, if you guys can mute yourselves, yeah. Foundations for for a thoughtful Judaism class that we had on Monday really was wonderful, and had about 25 folks joining us. It was a lovely event. All right. Let's make Kiddush. If you have some wine or grape juice at home, take it out. As you're able, please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta im kol amim, v'shabbat chodshecha v'ava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. L'chaim. Take your challah out. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Please stay for the oneg. Delicious food. Thank you to the Danziger family. Shabbat shalom.